So Kristen and I bought sweaters from like a humanity-based company that's giving
Ooh,
aid to like just conflict zones, so like anywhere.
I love
And
that.
Kristen got a sweater that just says human across the front,
I really
and
like
she gave me
that.
this as like a joke because she knows my disdain that I have for anything Western in country, but it's a kitty, so it's cute.
All right. Okay, we are live.
Oh, well, hello.
Gentlemen, hello.
Can
Hello
someone
there.
it's a silent G?
I
Um,
Good. I
shall
like it.
we shall we begin?
Let's.
All right. Everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
Each week we make each other watch movies that at least one of us has never seen before. This week it was my pick, and I picked the 1992 film Unforgiven, starring the late Gene Hackman, Clint Eastwood, and Morgan Freeman. This is a film that I've had on the list for a while, so it took Gene Hackman passing for me to be like, you know what, front of the list.
How's the time?
So before we get into that, we like to take a moment to talk about what we've been doing in the last week, what we've been watching, in a segment we call simply We Watch This. I'm going to start us off because I don't know if you guys have heard about what's going on in New York, but the devil's back in Hell's Kitchen.
Ramsey?
No. Charlie Cox. Daredevil Born Again premiered last week on Disney Plus with the first 2 episodes. Did you guys watch the Netflix Daredevil show?
Season 1 and 2. But
Okay.
That's it.
I think season 1, I believe.
Okay. You guys could, if you have just seen season 1 or 2, you could probably go into this and watch it from there.
Okay.
It's the most violent thing that I've seen on Disney Plus. Like, it gives Bluey a run for its money.
What movie are you watching?
I mean, there are episodes. So-
Yeah. But no, I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes of this. I didn't see the latest episode because I had to push the show last night and didn't get a chance to do anything. I'll be watching it tonight after the show. So, yeah. Have you guys heard anything about Daredevil Born Again?
Literally, I haven't. No, this is the first time I've heard about it. Is it good?
It's very good. I was worried because at one point they had started shooting the show and stopped production to rewrite the whole series. And you can tell that there was like a gravitational change for where the show was, how the show was formatted. But I think it came out for the better because Marvel at one point in like 2022 was like, okay, we need to like rein this in a little bit and readjust the focus on some things. And there's a whole sequence that starts off this series that originally was just going to be events that happened off screen.
What?
Yes, but but I like the sequence a lot more having seen it. They play with Daredevil's abilities like visually on screen and do stuff that I've never seen before. So like when Daredevil like hones in to listen to a conversation in the next room, the aspect ratio changes, goes full screen, and then it like pushes into what he's listening to and then focuses back in.
Really clever.
Yeah. And like there's a whole do you ever see the movie Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino?
No.
Yes.
It's a movie that for Devin and anyone at home, it's a movie where you have these 2 actors who've only ever appeared in one film together and they never had a scene together. But they have a scene where it's just the 2 of them in a diner talking. And they're like enemies. One's a cop, one's a gangster.
Yeah.
You have a Heat scene in this with Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk. So it's just Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio facing off at a diner. And it's just them talking. And it's like riveting television.
It sounds fun. I actually really like that. That's the kind of, I don't know. I think you've sold it to me based on that, to be fair.
This is the first season. They're already starting production on season 2. I know that Punisher is going to show up in the show. There are rumors Same guy, John Bernthal. Yep.
That's cool. Okay.
They've made everything from the Netflix series, and not just Daredevil. I think everything that they did in the Netflix shows is canon now.
Jessica Jones and that's cool. Iron Fist and that's very cool.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts on Daredevil Born Again.
So you'd recommend it?
I absolutely recommend it. If you like Daredevil, they do the not the web things, but his sticks like make him swing through the city now. They do that too.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Wait, has he not swung in the city in the other ones?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool then.
Yeah, I think he saw Spider-Man and said, "Oh, hey, I should try that."
Oh, dude, too soon. He didn't see Spider-Man.
Hey, if the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie can have the lines from the Evanescence song "All This Time I Couldn't See," I can't believe I couldn't see, to Ben Affleck like doing a fight montage, like I can make that. I wasn't even trying to make a joke there, but I stand by what I said. Devin, what have you been watching?
Guys, I have a question for you. Have you
Yes.
seen the Harry Potter movies?
Yes.
Any of them?
Yes.
You ever wonder what Lucius Malfoy's penis looks like?
I assume it's missing a sock.
Surprisingly not, actually. Well, then you guys should watch this season of White Lotus. But it's actually so much more. Have you guys seen any White Lotus?
No, and can you?
No.
I'm interested enough that I don't want you to spoil anything White Lotus for me.
100% won't. I did spoil that thing. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I love White Lotus as a series. I love it. I love the actors that they choose for the parts. I love the commentary about wealth and generational or earned wealth. I love the dynamics and the relationships. And then more importantly, I love the analysis of people at a place that they do. Every season I've ever seen of White Lotus has had an ending that was not the easy ending, but the deserved ending. And I always think that's good. With season 3, you notice they're starting to follow a bit of a formula. And, in season 1, it worked really well because you didn't really understand it. Season 2, you're like, all right, it's White Lotus. It's comfortable. Season 3, at least up until this point, you're like, okay, I understand that episode 1 has to look like this. Episode 2 has to look like this. And it's still nice. It's still fun to follow. I still really enjoy it, and I'm loving the season. But I don't know if they need to stick to this formula if they do a season 4, but I want a season 4 already. I just really enjoy it a lot.
Okay.
Will you guys watch this?
Can you at least tell me what genre you would put this show under? Because that's how little I know. That's how little I know about this. I know
it's awesome.
I know a little bit of the concept. Like the White Lotus itself is a resort chain, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And every season, a group of people arrive at that resort chain, and you follow a week of them. Each episode is a day in the life of people that have either arrived at the resort chain or people working at the resort chain. In terms of genre, I'd say it's somewhere between. It's a dark comedy. That's it.
Okay.
It's a dark comedy. Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. Dark comedy is my thing. Like,
What intrigues me the most about this season, besides Lucius Malfoy's penis, is Walton Goggins. Because I have not seen a thing with Walton Goggins that I haven't liked him in.
Yeah.
Which leads me into what I watched this week.
That buttery smooth transition.
The Righteous Gemstones. Ironically, though, he was not in this week's episode. Buckle up, boys. I'm about to sell you on an episode of The Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, I'm ready.
Righteous Gemstones is a comedy series on HBO that is about the Gemstone family that runs a series of mega churches. So you have Danny McBride and Adam Devine as Danny McBride's like the main character. He's like the son of the patriarch who runs the whole thing, who's played by John Goodman. And then you have Walton Goggins plays Uncle Baby Billy, who's like a former child star, kind of like Donny Osmond, but like very desperate for money. So it's just like a satirical look at mega churches and like some of the they're just like horrible people, and like there's like murder and crime in each season, and it's funny as hell. They just premiered their final season, and none of the original cast is in this episode. It's a standalone episode that takes place during the Civil War, and tells the story of the original Gemstone, the very first Gemstone preacher back in back in the Civil War, played by Bradley Cooper.
I like that.
So I don't want to spoil too much of the episode, but he's pretty much a con man who ends up becoming a chaplain for the Confederates. And yeah, that concept alone, like I saw something online that Bradley Cooper's just trying to go for an Emmy and this was his ticket to it. They're not wrong. Like, he's fantastic in this episode. It's a very well written episode, and I think it'd be very interesting to watch the show starting at that point and then going back and watching every other episode from the beginning.
Does that much happen in that episode that it almost recontextualizes the show?
No, like it's a standalone thing. But it's such a strong episode. Like, you don't even if that's just the one episode you watch of this show, I think it's done well enough that it's worth watching.
I want to start with that one now.
Directed by Danny McBride.
That's very cool.
The explosives guy from Tropic Thunder directed one of the best episodes of television I've seen this year. So, yeah.
I've been recommended this show probably more times than I can count. Probably a mix because of my personality and my sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to sit down and watch it. I think that I'm doing myself an active disservice not doing it.
You are, absolutely.
Yeah. Stupid. I got to do it. I just got to do it.
It's an easy watch.
Is it?
Yeah, John Goodman's great. The whole cast is fantastic, actually. But Walton Goggins, like with the white hair as Uncle Billy Bobby, like, have you seen pictures of him?
No.
Look up Uncle Billy Bobby right now. I want to get the reaction. Actually, no, I sent a GIF of him earlier. Like, that's what Uncle Billy Bobby looks like.
You know, I don't think I even saw it.
Ignoring the group chat.
I actually really like how he looks.
Yeah.
Look at his, yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. So.
I gotta watch this. This.
Ryan, any interest in the Righteous Gemstones?
To be honest, I hadn't even realized that this was a show until about maybe 2 weeks ago, when I think I saw an ad for it on The Pit when I was watching an episode of that.
Okay.
It looks really funny, and the same thing for the White Lotus. Like, I had no idea about that either until, again, I saw an ad for it on The Pit.
So what I'm
probably watch.
No, go ahead.
Probably watch the Gemstones before I'd give the White Lotus a chance, to be honest.
Okay. So what I'm understanding, Ryan, is you haven't really watched much Max until The Pit.
No, not really. I mean, I was just using it as like a normal, like one of the like streaming apps, because like I'm not. It takes a lot for any type of series or show to like grab my attention. It really does.
All right. Very cool. All right. Well, Ryan, did you have anything you wanted to talk about before we watch this? Okay.
Oh.
All right. Well, with that, we'll get into today's main topic, the 1992 film Unforgiven, directed by Clint Eastwood, starring Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman. This film won Best Picture at the Oscars. So this also ties into our Oscar talk from a few weeks ago. It won 4 Oscars in total. It won Best Picture. It won Gene Hackman Best Supporting Actor, Best Director. What else did it win? It won Best Film Editing. Yeah. Yeah, so those are the 4. This is a film that I saw for the first time in college. I think this was in one of my film courses that I had to take at Penn State. Screened this in the cinema, which was on campus, which was like the best way to watch this. And I'll tell you guys about how I watched this for the podcast in a minute. But this was like my first exposure to westerns. Like a Clint Eastwood Western. Like, I think this is the only one I've ever seen, because I'm not counting Back to the Future 3, because that's not actually Clint Eastwood. It's Calvin Klein. But I've had this on the list for a while, especially since Ryan said he doesn't like Westerns. And I wanted to make sure that I made you guys watch this because of that, because I think this isn't like the showdown at high noon type of Western. It's a little bit more character driven. Yeah. What were your guys' thoughts on Unforgiven? Had you seen it before? Had you heard of it? Tell me what you thought.
You want to go, Ryan?
Ryan, we cannot hear you.
While he's fixing his mic, I'll
go. Yes.
So no, I had never heard of this before. I hadn't seen it when you just told me that it won Best Picture and that like won awards. I had no idea. I didn't even know this was a movie. This was like you. This was, I think, the second or third. I've seen Space Cowboys and Gran Torino. This is the third thing I've seen Clint Eastwood in, and I think we're gonna have to talk about timelines of some things later.
Okay.
But no, hadn't heard of this until you'd mentioned it.
Okay. Ryan, how about you?
I also had no idea about this movie. And honestly, given the way that I view Westerns in Western movies, that's not surprising. Because I probably had seen ads for this. It's probably been on TV that I just like kind of flipped through. And Clint Eastwood is not an actor I search out at all. So probably I've come across this movie a few times, and when I saw his face, I kept on going. But I mean, I can definitely tell why it won the awards that it did. And I'm sure we'll get into more of that, but yeah, this was news to me.
All right. So I told you guys that I watched this in college on a big screen. Mm-hmm. I also watched this on a big screen at my place. But yeah. I thought this would be streaming. Did you guys have to rent this?
Yes. From Sky Atlantic.
Okay. I own a copy of this on VHS. So what I did was I decided to hook up my VCR to my projector and watch it that way. Let me tell you, this is the first time that I did that, and it's the last time, because the VHS quality on that screen was not great. It was fine for what it was. Like I wanted to watch the movie down here. It was fun to watch it that way. There were no previews. I was disappointed. But yeah, I watched it on VHS.
Was it just really blurry?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
It was blurry, but I'd seen the movie before, and it was fine. I knew what I was getting into, but I just didn't feel like sitting on a futon. I wanted to be in my reclining couch down here and just watch it, and yeah.
That's a great way to watch it. Absolutely.
So Unforgiven, let me pull up the description here for anyone who hasn't seen the film. Retired Old West gunslinger Will Mooney reluctantly takes on one last job to avenge an injustice with the help of his old partner and a new outlaw known simply as the Schofield Kid. So in the film, Clint Eastwood's brought out of retirement, recruits Morgan Freeman, to help him on this job. And then Gene Hackman plays the sheriff of the town, where all of these hitmen are arriving to avenge a prostitute who was cut by a client. What do you guys think of the plot of the film?
Wasn't what I was expecting at all. I think with the cover of it and with Clint Eastwood being in it, it wasn't what I expected until I started. Clint Eastwood wasn't what I expected until I started watching it. And then I went, right, this is Clint Eastwood's movie. This is the role that Clint Eastwood plays. But the overall plot of it wasn't something that I expected to happen, and enjoyed it.
Okay. Ryan, how about you?
I really wasn't expecting anything because I had no idea what to expect from this movie because I'd never heard of it before. I didn't look anything up.
Yeah.
And like it fits the narrative or the narratives that I've like heard and seen in westerns before, to a point. So like nothing really stood out too much, but I liked the idea of I did like the idea of him being like a retired retired bad guy, who's like, it's really weird. Like I'm not even sure if the morals could be set to good or bad considering what the motives were, but like that whole aspect of it I did find interesting.
So you brought up the part that I wanted to bring up, and if you don't mind, I'll just do it now.
Go for it.
At what point in his career, and you guys may know this better than I do, does Clint Eastwood go, okay, all of my characters are retired badasses, and all of them are going out for one last ride? Because that was all I know him from in Space Cowboy, and it was the entire plot of Gran Torino. And I was like, oh, I'll get to see Clint Eastwood in his prime. And then the second they were all up into him, he's like, I'm retired. I'm like, okay, Clint Eastwood, yep, you are retired, aren't you? Because you're always retired.
Looking at his IMDb, I think it's Unforgiven. I think he won Best Picture and Best Director for this, and he's like, you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, and the thing is, it's effective here.
That's what he did in Trouble with the Curb. Like he plays a baseball scout that is like down on his luck because of his health, and he has to go out like one last time to find that one prospect for the Braves. So like even outside of the gunslinger narrative, he's still doing the whole like going out on one last mission thing.
He hits his stride, doesn't he?
He really does, yeah.
I think that has to do with his. I feel like that has to do with one, his age, and two, the like persona that he worked up when he was younger, and the other movies that he did. Like what got him the name recognition that he has, and then at a certain point, like you just can't physically do that anymore, or it just doesn't make any sense for how old you look, and I feel like that's why he's done his since the early to mid 90s he's been keeping the same narrative because like that's it.
Well, the other thing is like knowing Clint Eastwood as an actor and knowing like the westerns that he's done, it kind of amplifies the clumsiness of his character in this because you're not expecting him to keep falling off the horse. You're not expecting him to keep missing his shots. You're expecting him to be Clint Eastwood, the guy that Martin McFly is referencing in Back to the Future 3. Like that's who you're expecting, and that's not who you get for most of this film. So it really
shot of him falling into like a thing with pigs in the mud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I like how the film plays on the expectations of that. Anything else you guys want to say about Clint Eastwood's character?
This is going to sound so like pedantic and almost condescending, but I truly mean it. I like Clint Eastwood's face for roles like this. He's got like the perfect, like, I'm sick of your shit face. Yeah, whatever he's doing, man, he's nailed it. And like, it's so good and it's so effective that like it almost completely offset how good Gene Hackman is in this.
Yeah, we'll save Gene Hackman for the end.
Okay. Fair.
Let's talk a bit about Morgan Freeman in this. Because this was like this was still pretty early on in Morgan Freeman's like big role career. Like Morgan Freeman had been acting for a while, but he hadn't really been a high caliber actor, like getting the big roles until like 1989 with like the late 80s with Lean on Me and Driving Miss Daisy.
Right.
This is 92, so this is 2 years before Shawshank. What did you guys think of Morgan Freeman in this?
Ryan, you want to go?
He was the I mean, for me, he was the highlight in it. To be honest, because I wasn't expecting, like, I didn't know he was in this, and so when he showed up, it was like, oh, cool, okay. And I feel like it was kind of a juxtaposition to where you had Clint Eastwood's character, like, changed, his life because of someone, and his, because of someone else. And from everything from I can gather, Morgan Freeman's character was just like, well, my partner is retired, I'm gonna do it too. And I almost feel like he was more successful in it than Eastwood's character was, because like he did it for himself, as to where Eastwood, like, he needed his to be around.
Yeah.
Like, he needed his wife to be around to, like, keep him on the right path. And which made what happened to his character, mean more. Like, it kind of hit more. So, yeah.
Well, I had the same as Ryan, where I didn't expect Morgan Freeman in this. And I did a double take when he came on screen. I literally, I was like, Morgan Freeman? What? And I had the moment where, like, the Morgan Freeman voice that I know Morgan Freeman to have is Morgan Freeman 50 plus years old. So hearing Morgan Freeman less than 50 years old, I was like, wow, he sounds so young. Look at him go. And then part of me was like, oh, he hasn't developed the voice yet. He'll get there. But I didn't realize that Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves was earlier than this movie. But this is by far In Glory was earlier than this. This is probably one of the earliest movies I think I've ever seen him in. This is certainly the earliest movie I've seen and recognized him in. And I liked his character. I really did.
Yeah.
I think that, to be playing against Clint Eastwood in a Western movie and do well is really impressive.
For the record, Morgan Freeman was 55 years old in this.
No, he certainly wasn't.
Yes, he was.
What?
Yeah. He was born in 1937.
Why are you so surprised?
I am aging like shit, guys. Morgan Freeman looks so good in this movie.
That's the thing. Like, you look at people like aging in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and like, yeah, Morgan Freeman's 55 in this, but like, who's 55 now? Like, let me look at this up. Ryan, do you have a thought?
It has more to do with Devin thinking that, like, he's aging like crap compared because of how Morgan Freeman looks at 55. Shave your beard.
Is that
gray. It's the gray in your beard that is making you feel like you're a lot older than you are. I am being dead serious here. Like, that's...
I might do it. I might.
Okay, so here are three actors who are 55 years old right now. Edward Norton, Matthew McConaughey, if you've seen him recently, and Jack Black. If you look at Jack Black in the trailers,
which one looks older and which one has a beard?
It's Jack Black.
Yeah,
Jack Black. Shit, you might be right.
Because if you see Jack Black without the beard, he still looks like Jack Black from The Holiday.
That's true. Or from like Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Man.
These people also have the money to have personal trainers, get the best food.
Yeah.
So there's also other reasons why. Like,
it's just.
And Paul Rudd, Paul Rudd's just ageless. So
how old is Paul Rudd?
55.
He's some type of demon. He doesn't count. Like
he made it.
Type of ageless demon.
He's incredible. Yeah, whatever he and Jennifer Aniston are doing, I want.
Yeah.
I want all of that.
Yeah, one of the things I like about Morgan Freeman's character, because it's very subtle, is he's very quick to be like, yeah, I'll come with you, and just leave his wife behind, and then prostitutes, him and the Schofield kid are just yeah, we'll take our free ones, we'll take a taste.
Yeah,
they're getting an advance on their payment. It's Clint Eastwood wakes up from his coma. He's like, what now?
Yes.
What?
No.
Then,
I gotta ask. Hold on. How was the weirdly flirty scene for you guys between him and Anna Thompson?
With Clint Eastwood?
Yeah, I think I think because my framing of Clint Eastwood is he is a very old man who is just doing you a favor from being here. No part of me expected Clint Eastwood to be like, yeah, I'll take a prostitute. Let's do this. I'm like, you're older than that, man. So then, when they had that, weird exchange outside that barn where he's like, they had their wires crossed, and she's like, I guess I'll be the prostitute for you. I'm like, no, you won't. Don't do it.
I mean, it's the Old West. That scene, it didn't make me that uncomfortable because it's that's the roles that they're playing. And Clint Eastwood in this was, oh man, I don't even know.
He was,
he was, what did I say when I say Morgan Freeman was born? He's 7 years older than, so he's 63. So it didn't given the world that they're in, that scene made sense to me. Yes, she would be the one to propose that. And I like that his character stands his ground. No, I shouldn't, because I'm still getting over my wife who passed away. And I like that misunderstanding of him rejecting her because of his wife, but she thinks it's because of her scars. And he's like, no, that's not because of that. And she's like, yeah, sure, it's not, but that's actually what it was. And I like that misunderstanding because it shows why he's in on this journey to begin with.
And he does make the comment, he's like, you're prettier than I am.
Yeah.
Which, can I have a second to talk about horribly disfigured people in movies?
Yes.
Because I feel she had a little bit of the Phantom of the Opera effect. Where if you've ever seen Gerard Butler in Phantom of the Opera, he's like, I'm hideous! And he has a little welt under his eye, and he's otherwise gorgeous.
Yeah.
She kind of has the same. She is cut up. They don't hide the fact that she has scars on her face. She's not hideous.
And I think
but
go ahead, Ryan.
But that's where it's the same answer to what you were talking about before about how that made you uncomfortable, her being so young, telling him that it's available if you want it, and him turning it down when there's such a big difference. That's the Wild West. That's the West. That's it in a nutshell. These guys were, a lot of them were cattle drivers. Some of them were bad guys. Some of them were just passing through and with, groups. And like anyone that had scars, anyone that was disfigured, especially, women in these brothels, yeah, they got a hit on how much money they made over like a cut on the forehead or,
Mm-hmm.
the cheek. Because if they're going to spend money, they don't want something or want someone that's going to be like hurt or damaged and outwardly in any way. So like that also fit, even though yeah, it is kind of the whole it does fall under the the Phantom of the Opera thing. It's still fit for the attitudes of the time.
For me, and I don't know if this is because I was watching it on the VHS tape and it looked so blurry. For me, I was half expecting in that scene that we were talking about him to be like, "You're not as bad as I thought," as they made it out to be in the ad, because I think a lot of it is hyperbole. Like it's the women hyping it up to be worse than it was to get the people to agree to go do that, to do the job that they're hiring them for. And I think that's part of it, right? Yeah.
I think that has to be right. And I think there's a world where you both can be right, because I mean, even the second she gets cut, and this was a gross scene, but it was intentionally gross, the guy starts talking about her like he's her property, and I brought her in from Boston, and I'm out all this money now, and like she won't earn as much for him and for her, and I don't that's I guess that's her choice, and if that's her choice, that's fine, but like I don't like that he was talking about her like property.
I didn't like that either.
That was but I mean I think you're not supposed to like that, but I think that's it. She's not gonna like earn as much for them, so for her career choice, that is a huge deal. And maybe it is even hyperbole, but maybe it's actually not. Maybe for that line of work, it's hideously disfigured.
Yeah.
Well,
I think some of the go ahead, Ryan.
And that's where, like you said before, about like the way that the guy was talking about her, like that's the way it was. That's the way
when I say hyperbole,
places worked.
When I say hyperbole, I think some of the details that are shared with Clint Eastwood, like those are things that I don't think like she still has both of her ears. Like that's
right. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So let's talk about English Bob for a second. I think I know why.
That giggle.
I think I know what that giggle's for. Ryan, what do you think that giggle's for? Did you recognize English Bob at all?
English Bob in general. No, I didn't recognize him. I just thought the character itself was
Devin,
funny
did you?
and ridiculous.
I mean, he was... No.
No?
No.
Okay. I thought since you're British, you would recognize Dumbledore, but okay.
Was that Dumbledore?
That was the first Dumbledore, Richard Harris, yeah.
That was the first Dumbledore.
Yeah. It's Richard Harris.
MacArthur
Park himself. Richard Harris,
wow.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
He's also the Emperor Gladiator at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what? Had no idea. No. I just liked his rant about kings and queens, and then all of his like commentary about America. I loved his character. I thought he was fun.
He was very fun to watch nowadays.
Yeah. Yes, he certainly was.
His biographer I recognize from Frasier. So he has like an arc on Frasier. He plays Daphne's fiance for a few seasons.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I liked his character a lot. I liked his interactions with, and I know we're saving him till the end, but I liked his interactions with Gene Hackman's character a lot. That was part of what sold me on his character, was what he did with him.
Okay. English Bob isn't in the film long, but he's there. Like he gets fourth billing on the poster here. So
is it because he's such a big name?
I think so.
Because at this point, is he famous?
Richard Harris?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did MacArthur Park. So,
like the music video?
like the song, like he sang the song, MacArthur Park.
I didn't know that was him either.
Yeah. So next time you watch Beetlejuice.
I can think about it. I'm getting all kinds. Listen, I gotta admit something to you guys. I don't know what's going on with me this week, but my brain is not functioning correctly, and it started with this movie. So the movie opens with a text crawl, and it talks about how his wife had died, right? And then it says that was 1978, and then it flashes to 1980, and I go, oh, this is 7 years in the past. And like watched maybe the first hour of this movie going, okay, this is 7 years before the opening text crawl. How do we get to that text crawl from here? And then I had to rewind the movie and re-look at the dates and go, mother... It just, I don't know what's going on with me, but like connections aren't being made. Like I just saw the English Bob and went, English Bob.
You know what it is? It's daylight savings time.
For you guys.
For us, yeah.
Daylight savings, for only you. I don't have it yet.
I know, but that's what's messing you up. It's just like something in the space-time continuum is just messing with you.
Well, it's like not even midnight here. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Like,
yeah, it's all right. I mean, it's all right. It made the first hour of this movie very confusing.
I'm glad I didn't have that problem, because if I had to go back and rewind it, I would have to wait 5 minutes for it to like go back to the beginning.
You would have gotten the joy of like seeing everyone act out in reverse, which is actually kind of fun.
That's actually how I watched it the first time. I just watched it two times in reverse, like 2x in reverse. Yeah. This is a very happy movie where no one dies. Let's talk about Gene Hackman.
The Halloween decoration comes to life.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman plays the sheriff in this. Very, very tough sheriff based off of an actual sheriff, and I believe, I forget where I think it was somebody in LA. No, the LA police chief. He based it off the LA police chief. What did you guys think?
Beverly Hills Cop.
Yes, that one. No, the one from Zootopia.
That doesn't take place in LA.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of Gene Hackman in this? Like he shows up in the beginning after the attack at the brothel, and then we see him building his house on the outskirts of town.
He's one of those actors that I could just listen to talking like forever, and I would be happy with. Like, he's so good at telling a story on screen and making it entirely captivating. And like, that's what he does he does it in Superman. Like, that's his superpower. And that's what he brought to the movie. And some of my favorite scenes of this movie are like him talking to English Bob in the jail cell. Like, that's what like made the movie for me. More than like the shootout scenes, more than like Clint Eastwood being Clint Eastwood on a horse. Like, this is what made the movie and what I'm going to remember, I think.
Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, same. I mean, I thought some of the best scenes and the best interactions in this movie happened with him and English Bob in the sheriff's office, like talking to Bob and the writer, and just going back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
he was such a versatile actor. Like, he could do drama like he does in this. He was good at comedy. I think you're right when you like, just him talking elevates any scene that he's in. And there were so many performances of his that I wanted, like, I could have chosen to do for this tribute episode, but this was on so high on the list for me to make you guys watch already. I was like, it's got to be Unforgiven. And he won the Oscar for this because because of those English Bob scenes and the scene at the end with Clint Eastwood, and even in the middle there where Clint Eastwood's like high on his fever and like out of it, like he's just so good. He just kind of stands there. Does he shoot a gun in this at all?
Does he shoot a gun at the end?
He tries. Yeah, he does, but he doesn't shoot anyone.
Yeah. But like, other than that, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to know then, because this had me thinking. I was thinking about this all day today. Is there another actor for you guys that can command that kind of attention nowadays? Like, that he can just be telling a story, he or she or whomever, right? Could just be telling a story on screen, and they're so good at it that even just that story has you in the same way that the English Bob scene. I have one actor, only one other actor that'll do it for me like that.
Pauly Shore.
I wish.
Who is yours?
Jonathan Banks, the guy that plays Mike Ehrmantraut in the Breaking Bad universe. Some of my favorite scenes are just him sitting there talking. Love it.
Have you seen him in Community?
No.
When Chevy Chase left the show, he was the old man on Community for a bit.
What?
Yeah.
How was it?
Oh, he's great. Like, he's one of the best parts of that season. Yeah.
Shoot. Okay. Well, guess I gotta go watch it now.
Yeah. I've only been telling you to watch that show for the last 15 years.
You know, I think I still have your season 1.
I don't think you do.
Oh, did I give it back?
I think you gave it back.
Phew.
So
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just to be safe, take a look. If you have it, then I'll take it back.
Let me poke around when I'm
back poke
home.
Around. Ryan, do you have an answer?
I mean, does it have to be somewhat like? My pick is past his prime.
It's okay.
That's fine.
Just
That's fine.
Gene Hackman.
Yeah. It would have to be Denzel Washington, simply because I've talked about him before, and I know I've said why, but I'll just repeat it again. Like, Denzel Washington is great whenever his character gets hyped or angry and has to go on a rant or shut someone down. And those scenes can literally be pages of dialogue, like, at length. And it is just captivating. It is to like watch him get angry or frustrated or passionate and then go through dialogue is just, it grips me, and it was I like watching it, so it would have to be him.
Yeah.
For me, I think if you're looking at an actor who can carry a scene like dramatic weight and also be able to do comedy and like all this different, like a lot of different characters, Michael Keaton.
You know what? That's a good choice.
Because you look at him in something like Beetlejuice, where he's going balls to the wall, like over the top, like, hey, how you doing? Like, and then you get him in like Spotlight, where he's more grounded and like running this newspaper. But for me, like the scene that I was most like the scene that captured my attention the most with that in a performance that doesn't even have dialogue is that moment in Spider-Man Homecoming where he's driving them to the dance and you see him figure out without words that his daughter's date is Spider-Man. Like, he's able to do that without saying anything and then when he turns around and talks to Peter Parker, like that scene, I'm getting chills now just talking about it. And like as bad as the Flash movie is, he's great in it. Like, there's a whole scene where he's explaining the multiverse with spaghetti, and it doesn't make sense, but you believe him. Like, like he's the best part of that movie. Like that movie, like as many issues as that movie has, and it has a lot of them. He elevates that to being mostly watchable. So
mostly.
Yeah.
That's a good choice. I didn't think about him. It's a really good choice.
Yeah. So what else do you guys know Gene Hackman from?
Superman.
Superman? Well, let's talk about Superman for a second.
Tide.
Crimson Tide. Okay.
What is Crimson Tide?
In my third pick from now, you'll be watching it. So don't worry about it.
Man, I don't even know what my next pick is. Ryan's got got it mapped out for the year.
Ryan is the most prepared of all of us. I'm telling you.
I've rewatched Superman recently. A little. It was on HBO the other day, and I caught myself watching mostly the Gene Hackman stuff because it was him figuring out about kryptonite and hijacking the nuclear missiles. And it's exactly what you said. Like, him talking makes that Lex Luthor work, because that's not the comic book Lex Luthor. That's not the Lex Luthor that's in, like, that from the cartoons now, or is on Smallville, or on Superman and Lois. Like, this is a different Lex Luthor that we haven't really seen before. There's no, like, mech suit. There's no LexCorp. This is a Lex Luthor who's just smart, and he conveys it so well. And it makes it work, and it's such a great balance for the Christopher Reeve Superman. Like, you look at the poster that I have. I have a Superman 4 poster I was going to put behind me because he's in that, but I felt like it was disrespectful to put Superman 4 behind me to talk about Gene Hackman. But I have a Superman 1 poster, and he's billed before Superman. It's Marlon Brando, Gene Hackman, Superman. And then Christopher Reeve is billed. Like, there's a reason. Like, he was a movie star in the 70s before Christopher Reeve, and I think his performance as Lex Luthor earns him being billed before Superman.
I have such an obscure view of his movie career, because I was in, like, this was Lex Luthor growing up for me because of my dad. Like, this is how I know him being famous. What was his breakout role? Because I don't know that. Like, I'm like scrolling through his IMDb page right now. Is it I Spy? No, because he was in one episode. Was it the Poseidon Adventure?
It might have been.
Oh,
I know that was.
That is.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Have we all seen that movie?
No, I have not.
Ryan.
I'll add the list.
I mean, I think The French Connection.
Yeah.
I think that's the big movie that got him.
One.
Yeah. Because then it's Poseidon Adventure, The Conversation, then Young Frankenstein. Like, I think he was a working actor in television for the longest time, as a lot of people were. And then, like, The French Connection is what made him a household name. And then you had him do some bigger roles, like The Conversations, Coppola, Bridge Too Far, and then getting into Superman. Like, he worked for the longest time. He hadn't made a movie since 2004. Like, the last movie he made was Welcome to Mooseport with Ray Romano.
Poor man.
Yeah. Which is enough to make you retire.
Was it a good movie?
No.
No.
It's rated a 5.3. But before that, he, like, the three before that were the Runaway Jury, Behind Enemy Lines, and the Royal Tenenbaums. Like,
that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Royal Tenenbaums, good movie.
I've never seen that. So,
come on now.
Yeah.
Wes Anderson.
Yeah, I told you. Like, I haven't seen much Wes Anderson.
Wow. Okay. All right. We'll catch up. Don't worry.
Yeah. For me, the Gene Hackman role that I've seen the most outside of Lex Luthor is the 2000 film The Replacements, where he plays Jimmy McGinty, a football coach, who crosses the picket line of an NFL strike and puts together a team of misfits to play football for the Washington Sentinels.
Sentinels.
Sentinel. Yeah. So it's him. It's Keanu Reeves. It's Jon Favreau.
Wow.
Yeah. Have we done this movie on the podcast?
No,
we
if
haven't.
you have.
Okay. This is one that I around football season I'll pull this one out.
Okay, good.
Because he's fun in it. It's a fun movie. I don't know how well it ages 25 years later, but yeah, this is the movie that I know him from because it's just one that was always on like TBS that I would find myself watching. So, yeah.
That's fair.
Anything else on Gene Hackman?
No, he was so good in this.
Yeah.
He made the movie. He really did. It would have been a different movie without him.
It really would have been. Rest in peace, Mr. Hackman. We held off a little bit on doing the tribute to him because we weren't sure what the details of his death were going to be. It just all around sounds tragic for him and his wife. May they both rest in peace. Yeah. Ryan, next week is your pick. What are you going to have us watch?
Congo. 1995's Congo. I wanted to do a palate cleanser after you making me watch a wet, so I figured that's probably the best way to go about it. So,
Devin, do you get the reference now?
No.
Space.
Then
like you were.
Then get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So join us next week for Congo. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to be streaming next week on Twitch as well, so make sure to follow us there. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. Listen to You Have to Watch This Podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. Until next time for You Have to Watch This Podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And in the words of the late Gene Hackman, Miss Tessmacher! See ya.
Good. I think that you added that. Wait, did you scare her?